I'm delighted now to be hosting a panel of all of our gold sponsors, the biggest collaboration platforms in the world. I'd like to welcome to the stage all of my panelists, Sonu, Taimoor, and Michael. Please come up to the stage for our panel. Round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Any of the mics should be live for you. You're live. Any of the handhelds. So, good morning, all.
Morning, Patrick.
Would it be possible to start with a round of introductions? Taimoor, I think, is returning alumni. I'll start with you. I think everyone will know who you are, but a brief round of introductions. Taimoor, if you could go first.
I don't know how many mics I need, but here we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Taimoor. Michael just pointed out that I'm 12 years old in that picture, so it's become a little bit of a joke now, so I leave it up. I'm with Microsoft. I work on our telco strategy for go-to-market for all things M365, which includes Teams, Copilot, a bunch of other things.
Michael. Apparently you need multiple mics.
Should be live. Get it right up.
Here we go. Okay. Michael Hennigan, I'm from Zoom. I focus on our global service provider program, go-to-market, service creation, sales, and technical enablement.
Hello, I am Sonu Arora. I lead the product management team at Webex, and I drive our Webex calling, the cloud calling business, and also the PSTN and the Webex Control Hub.
Thank you, and pleasure to have you all here, as I said. I think first question, and Michael, I'm going to come to you first as you're closest to me. Why should service providers look to be selling Zoom phone? Why should they look to partner with Zoom for selling telephony services?
I mean, I think Jamie just killed it, right? The biggest thing, and I'm going to say it a little different than what Jamie did, is obviously phone is very relevant still, but it becomes how do you make phone sexy again? It's been a commodity, a race to the bottom. So now, for the first time, I would say, in like 15 years or so, we've been talking about digital transformation. And we really have the opportunity now to actually do the things we've been talking about for all these years as an industry. So it's really, let's make phone sexy again. How do we change business outcomes using phone? How do we change people's, businesses overall? And we can do it, with something very simple as phone, and then layer a lot of things on top of it.
Got you. Taimoor, the Microsoft portfolio, obviously vast, big focus on AI at the moment. Phone still important? If you could just talk us through about you've got 100 plus OC providers now. How important is the telephony aspect of Teams?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's, I think, without giving away too much into my presentation later, I do think that we've been hearing about phone being commoditized. A lot of people have been calling to the death of phone and phone numbers for a long, long time. However, there's an inflection point where I think that phone still seems to be extremely important. I would argue that used to be people say, okay, dial tone is important, but the impact of calling, the impact of being able to connect at this lowest foundational layer is still pretty critical. It's a big part of Teams Phone. It's a big part of what we're doing to innovate in our communication and collaboration stack. So I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about that later.
And so Cisco, obviously, such a long history in the telephony space. How important is telephony as part of the Webex, and also service providers within that?
Yeah, so telephony is really, really critical. Many of the service providers, they already, in the room, they work with BroadWorks-based platform, right? And that is from Cisco. Our cloud calling, the Webex calling platform, is actually, based out of that BroadWorks base. One of the biggest, actually, if you look at telephony and the market, for the on-premises, the Unified Communications Manager, like our UCM product, we got like 33 million seats of users that are still like on-premises, like running our Cisco platform. So we got like the vast leadership, whether you talk about like the on-premises base or on from the service providers, like provide like servicing and providing capabilities, right, to small to medium-sized businesses. So telephony, I mean, it's at the core of our collaboration portfolio. But that's not all. I mean, one of the things, when we look at Cisco, we're actually committed to enabling our service providers with like the cutting class, like networking, security, and the collaboration stack. And we are the only vendor that actually has the UCaaS, CCaaS, CPaaS, and the full device portfolio, that we provide, right, to you. So like it's not, so you don't have to actually go to different vendors to provide all of these different capabilities.
So a key part of the overall Cisco portfolio. When we talk about, so I made a distinction in my keynote about the general collaboration-centric telephony user and enablement markets. So specifically, and so I'll come back to you, Cloud Connect, for an example. Can you talk a bit about why you think the structured programs are important for service providers, rather than just a straight gateway linkage that's also available in Cisco?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to the customer journey. I know Patrick already covered a lot about like the growth of like UCaaS and CCaaS. And when now you look at in terms of how the customers are consuming telephony, it is through these marketplaces. If you might be the best, like the provider of that service, but the customers are not necessarily just looking at like those direct contracts with you. Many of we know the PBXs, they are moving to the cloud. Contact centers are moving to the cloud. Other than some air gapped and where you need like full like PSTN control, we know that it's just inevitable that these services, right, they are going to be consumed from places where already you got these collaboration marketplaces. So that's why Webex Cloud Connect, it is actually the PSTN backbone. Where we have partnerships with many. We got like 40 plus like CSPs, that are certified. We work very closely with many of you. We get you certified. And actually have a much closer relationship. I would say, we work very closely with you to ensure that you can actually be present and provide the value-added services, for the big like ecosystem and of the customer base, that I just talked about, right? So both the on-prem, we got the cloud, the hybrid, as well as like the contact center, right? The contact center agents.
So it's that platform alignment piece key. Taimoor, the discussion you and I have had on multiple occasions now, you're seeing a big shift, and you have seen a big shift from DR towards OC. Can you talk to me a bit about why you think that is? Why is OC seeing that traction?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. When we started to think about OC, we had a couple of goals, right? So first of all, we wanted to deliver a better product and a better service to our customers. And so we believe that through OC, there's a higher quality product being delivered to our customers, whether it's based on the built-in resiliency and reliability that we have, the peering, the quality of service, and so on and so forth. The other thing we wanted to deliver was customer confidence. So customers were coming to us, before we had OC, they were coming to us and be like, oh, I want to choose a provider to work with, but who do you recommend? And we had nothing to say. And so now at least there's some customer confidence on the fact that these providers are working with Microsoft, there's a higher quality product being delivered there, there's potentially support agreements that can deliver a much more higher SLA, and so on and so forth. And so those are a couple of things. But the important thing was, we really built Operator Connect to be a foundational platform on which we can then build additional capabilities on top of. And so we've got some of those capabilities coming in. We can now layer in contact center, mobile integration. There's a bunch of other things that we can place on top of that platform as well. And so those were some of our key tenets when we were thinking about Operator Connect, and I think that's why customers are gravitating towards that.
Go ahead. And Michael, from the Zoom, obviously we heard from Jamie about the partnership programs. How, from a Zoom perspective, what do you talk to when you speak to new service providers about wanting to sell Zoom Phone, the partnership programs, provider exchange, and the benefits of that more structured engagement?
I think the structure helps us, to Taimoor's point, validate that we're a true partnership and we're working together, so we can increase, customer confidence that they're getting, an entire solution, and one that's going to be fully supported and fully vetted, which I believe is a big thing now, because going back to your the DR option, it really didn't have the validation that we were, existing as true partners. So this gives better customer confidence. Going to what Sonia said about the customer journey, makes it easier we all get into the consumerization of this. So being able to easily consume, how we're bringing in the telephony is a big part of it as well.
In my opening this morning, I put up some slides about some of the challenges that providers face in these markets. And I'm really interested from your perspective as the platform providers, because you've created these platforms, you've created the marketplaces, and they have created a number of challenges. I talked about changing commercials, operational requirements, there's contractual agreements you have. Taimoor, I'm going to come to you first. You speak to hundreds of service providers and telcos. What are the most common challenges that you're helping those partners overcome?
It's a great question. And it kind of lends to that Q&A thing that you did earlier in your session as well. And I was sitting there thinking about it when that thing came up. And, anybody gone to a Safeway or a Whole Foods, I guess localized Tesco, right?
Good Tesco, Sainsbury's.
And have you ever gone to the cereal box aisle and you've seen, maybe 40 or 50 cereal boxes, and you don't know which cereal to buy? If you've never eaten cereal, it's the first time. It's actually really confusing because there are literally 40 boxes of cereal out there, and you have no idea. And the cereal companies do a really good job. Some of them put cartoon tigers on them. And some of them put really healthy, large raspberries to make it feel like it's the best thing in the world. And they do a good job, but limited differentiation was something that came up in your slide.
Yeah, I think that was top response.
That was top response. And I think this is probably one of the largest challenges. So you're in this marketplace, right? But you're one cereal box amongst 40 cereal boxes. So what do you do to differentiate? And I think that is probably one of the most important things to think about. What does our go-to-market look like? Are we going to differentiate on price? Are we going to differentiate on value-added services? Are we going to do something really remarkable? Like, you mentioned it, right? I talk to so many of you every day, and there's so many great ideas. Like, for example, what if you were walking through the cereal aisle and you could try a little bit of that cereal, although it sounds a little gross in this context. But if you could try a little of that cereal every time, and you could actually, like an ice cream shop. And so things like, okay, try before you buy, or pilots or trials, and so many other ideas on how you could differentiate your cereal box or your offering. So I do think that's probably the biggest challenge for the partners in this room. I'll stop there because there's probably a lot more that I could talk about, but I'll let the others go as well.
No, okay. So differentiation, key point. Mike, when you speak to service providers, what are they coming? What's the difficulties that they might be coming to you with, and what are you having to sort of remedy?
Again, going back to your slide into what's differentiation is always going to be the biggest thing, because if you don't have differentiation, it's just a race to the bottom. Price is always going to be a thing, but if we're just creating a race to the bottom, we're not making phones sexy again. We're not doing all those, bringing out all those business outcomes and such. I think for providers, whether it's, through us, Operator Connect, just being listed is, that gets you in the game. So, how do you play the game beyond that is probably the biggest thing, especially for, I would say, the smaller providers. And, generally the answer, I think we can all agree on this, is, what are you doing if you're like a smaller provider? Are you using your local expertise to create that differentiation? Are you verticalizing to create differentiation? Are you specializing? Are you, creating unique enhancements with AI? Because, obviously I think we can all agree everything is over-rotated on AI. But what are you doing, because it's expected, to bring that into your offerings that makes you look different? So you have to be the sexiest, box. You got to have the tiger, so that you become eye-catching. Otherwise, you're just, again, racing to the bottom on price.
Okay. So any key challenges, and obviously Cisco has such a wide range of partners as well, and not just necessarily telephony folks. Could be on the networking side, could be on the devices side. What are the sort of most common challenges you're coming across?
Yeah, a lot of that Michael, and Taimoor talked about the differentiation. I think differentiation is one of the things, that a lot of partners, do come to us, and A lot of it is really around the GTM. I think those are the conversations, many times, we have with partners, because it's less so about technical, though technical also matters, right? Commercial, I think it goes down to GTM, and that includes the differentiation, like how do you really differentiate yourself? And then the commercials and the pricing. I think if you look at also what customers are expecting, right? So customers in this age and like going forward, more and more it's actually simplicity, right, that matters. So it's really not about, just going about the PSTN. I mean, it's just given. I think we are partnering with CSPs because the trust matters. Your brand actually does matter. It's not about, right, like the collaboration like vendors. So it's really like, you focusing on that core, making sure that is there, the reliability is there, the quality is there. That's like the non-negotiable. But it's about really the other, beyond the dial tone, beyond the PSTN, what are some of the additional experiences that you can actually provide to the customers, right? So a lot of it does end up being, okay, how quickly can you activate, right, the things? Now with AI, it's not just like, providing the PSTN. Can it be like the full communication intelligence, right? And at Cisco, that's what we believe in. I mean, with the core stack, right, across networking, security, with capabilities like 1,000 eyes, right? We provide like that end-to-end observability. So how can CSPs partner with us and just provide like, that full differentiation, of the stack, not just like with the workloads, like specific workloads that customers are demanding, but providing that QoE in terms of the analytics and simple activation pricing, right? That becomes really important.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because I think a lot of the research customers in this room would shoot me afterwards if I didn't ask. We've all talked about differentiation, but one of the key challenges that came up there is commercials. And you talked, Sonu, about allowing providers to overlay value-added services. I'm going to come to each of you on that. How can you help providers with the bottom line is so important, and I think it's sort of undeniable. Our research shows that we've seen a margin. There's a huge margin and revenue difference in between some of these traditional platforms and some of the newer platforms. How can you help providers? And Sonu, I'll come back to you on that. You already mentioned value-added services as well, so I didn't mean to steal your thunder there. But how can Cisco help providers on the commercial side?
A lot of it is going to be partnering with us on, the capabilities that we can also provide, through our Webex wholesale, right, platform. It's not just about showing up, right, in the Webex Cloud Connect platform and leveraging, the overall marketplace there. But can you also take our UCaaS, CCaaS, like the CPaaS set of services, and you actually become, right, that provider and sell, right, the full. So it's not just about selling the telephony. It's becoming and providing like the full-fledged services to your customer base. So that's like one piece. We can do that. But across, selling like we have like a huge portfolio, right? So it's the devices that we actually provide. So leveraging like those devices, like selling those. We also got on the networking side Meraki, right, the Catalyst. So huge portfolio. Like there's a lot of opportunities, when you come and partner with Cisco and differentiate and go to market, right, across the board.
So Cisco, it's that breadth of portfolio. Michael, I think it's fair to say you've been incredibly aggressive in market entrance, both in the US in terms of pricing in the UK. I know you're expanding globally. So I was just interested in the sort of commercials, how you're helping your service providers from a sort of commercial angle.
Jamie actually put up one of my favorite slides when he showed like the good, better, best model, and the idea behind that is really using us as the platform. How are you able to then wrap whatever your services are? Obviously the PSTN, maybe hardware services, things like that. I think that's step one, and then it's what is the attach? Again. You'll hear the same thing for all three of us. We have a very wide platforms. So how are you attaching things like contact center? How are you attaching AI? How are you attaching rooms? And that's really going to obviously drive. Just something as simple as attaching contact center is going to take your annual per user rate up significantly. So having a strategy and working with us to understand using phone as the gateway to the rest of the platform and bringing those things in, something that we really focus with our providers on in their go-to-market strategy, so that it's not just we're isolating in these, 3 silos of good, better, best, but, how do we continue to bring the rest of those pieces in and then layer on all of your services, because we all know like the service margins are going to be, very aggressive as we build out.
And Taimoor, the same from it's something we've talked about in multiple forums before. That commercial question is a really big piece.
Yeah, I mean, nothing profound to add to what Sonu and Michael have said. The key here to think about is, we're platform providers, so we do our thing and we give you something to stand on. I think the partner value that you bring is obscuring the complexity, right? This is complex. This workload is super complex. There is tons of things beyond our platform that need to be integrated that are already been mentioned, like contact center, compliance recording, and then there's devices. God forbid there's still fax out there. Is there still fax out there? Jamie said there's still fax out there. So there's so many other things that are complex to the customer. They're usually third-party phone integrations. Probably no one's coming in greenfield, right? They're probably migrating from some legacy system. So there's so much complexity there. And for you as partners to obscure that complexity from the customer and say, yep, no, we've got it. This is what you pay per user, and we take care of all of it. That's kind of it, right? That's your value offering. That's how you bundle your capabilities. The good, better, best thing actually is pretty cool that Jamie showed. How do you take something that the customer needs and add the products and capabilities that they need based on their requirements? That's really the way to monetize this, right? You're not going to monetize DIDs. You're not going to monetize minutes. It's a race to zero. However, you've got to think about the value add, and that's kind of the commercial incentive.
Got you. While we go through the next question, I've got an audience poll question that I'd be really interested in if you could scan on the Slido. And the question is, what could the vendors on stage do to help you sell more of their services? So this is a World Cloud. You can submit your answers. So what I was going to come to, and Taimoor, I'll come back to you. Say Operator Connect. Say a new provider joins Operator Connect, or say Operator Connect. What support do you offer from a Microsoft perspective to help get them up to speed? What can providers look to Microsoft for to help support them in terms of succeeding on the platform?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, on the one hand, the Operator Connect is a technical engineering-led program, right? So they get a lot of technical support. They're ushered into a team of people that support them. We have a special ops engagement for them so that they get the support they need. They get everything that they need from a technical perspective. We also engage with them on a very regular basis on the go-to-market stuff that Sonu was mentioning. We help them figure out what their offerings should look like. Everybody's got a little bit of a different thing going on, right? And so we help them figure out what are their market sizes. Are you going after SMB, SMC, enterprise? What does your go-to-market look like? Are you also doing contact center? Are you also doing other things? Are you a CSP? Are you going to be doing AI with us? Are you going to be selling Copilot seats? All of those things sort of come in and combine. We work with them very closely to figure out what do your go-to-market look like. And then we also have co-selling motions with them to say, okay, fine, now you've got your offerings, you've got your technical product. How can we match you up with our teams to be able to go and talk to customers together? So we've got a lot of different programs for people who are participating in the OC program.
Great. First of all, my apologies to Taimoor there. We've got a comfort monitor here, and it is incredibly distracting trying not to watch that. So you did incredibly well to not be immediately or copy any of the answers.
Flexibility is the number one thing to do. Yeah.
Well, I think that is a really interesting point, though, because I suppose that goes back to that differentiation piece. The more flexible you can be as a platform provider, potentially the more differentiated the providers in the room can be. So that's really interesting. Michael, from the Zoom perspective, and again, my apologies for the constant.
Well, it's fascinating to watch this.
You can just take the answers from here, and you're right.
I want the person who said 5,000 pounds to stand up and tell me what that is. Actually, 5,000.
I think the data's in the Slido's anonymized, isn't it? So it's a Cisco product.
I'm actually very happy to see. Slido being used.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Michael. Go on.
Oh no. I mean, this is great, and there's actually so many things we could sit here and comment on. Obviously, flexibility, engagement, and don't compete. Are standing out, and that's huge, right? We're talking to service providers. So how do we, we all have our own offerings, right? So how do we not compete? And I think that goes into the go-to-market strategy, and I also think it goes into flexibility as a whole. And so when, one of the things as we're building out our service provider program, we're focusing on automation, the marketplace itself, helping you differentiate yourself in the marketplace, helping you have all of the tools you need to support the platform as well. I think the flexibility and ease of use of doing all those things, and then I like how you brought in, because your slide, right, CRM.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is a huge thing, where a lot of people are still living in their CRM.
Yeah, that's the primary platform for a lot of businesses. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that goes right directly into the flexibility piece. So, as a platform, we have to be able to focus on that, and then we build our. I know at Zoom we're focused on building our service provider program to hit those things and to do stuff like how do we go sell together? Where's the lead generation come from, and building on those practices.
Okay. So you're furthest away from the comfort monitor, so you really, at least you'll be least distracted. What does Cisco? What do you do when you onboard a new partner to Cloud Connect? What are you offering them to help them succeed?
So a lot of Cloud Connect partners actually work directly with my team. We have our standard APIs, that are in place. We got the global point of presence. There is the global infrastructure. It's standardized infrastructure. There's APIs. There's frameworks, and we work closely with the partners to get the interconnects, that are going. But that's not all. I think now, What's also happened, there is very good alignment across, what the collaboration vendors are providing and what the channel partners are doing. Now, Cisco is very, very heavy channel partner led, and there are many channel partners who can sell these services, or with CSPs, right, who want to become channel partners as well. So there is that support, that's available from our channel partner account team as well, who work with all of the SPs and ensuring that you can be successful in providing all the right connections, and there's think about the marketing material, anything that's needed to sort of jointly go to market and helping our providers there. Right? That's super critical for us. But ultimately, I think it's about really working closely to ensure that you can actually work with us and really provide a simple way for our customers, right, to consume your services. So we're there for helping with you if there are APIs, that are missing. We actually want to make sure they actually are provided, so that ultimately that end-to-end automation can be given, right, for the customers.
Got you. So just looking firstly, it's always risky doing an open poll response like this. So I'd like to thank everyone for being mature and not writing amounts of money or do a dance. I did see do a dance. I think one of the team have quickly.
That's you, Patrick.
I think one of the team have quickly deleted that backstage. So but I think we can take some serious things from this. I think there is a fear in the audience about competition coming directly from you guys. You've all got your own direct calling plans that can be purchased. And far from me to be the mouthpiece for three of the biggest tech companies in the world, I think you are all primarily partner-driven when it comes to the voice side. So I think that would be the sort of counter-argument. So I think the really interesting thing, what I wasn't expecting, is the flexibility piece on there as well. So, but I do appreciate all of the responses there, and the requests for money will not be maintained. Definitely not by Cavell. Just sort of final couple of questions that I wanted to talk to you about, and I'll remove the distracting Slido poll. 2 to 3 years' time, you've got a range. You've all got a different range of options for voice enablement in your platform. I realise you're not responsible for the overall strategy of both Zoom, Microsoft, and Cisco, and I realise that. But how do you see the platforms developing? How do you see the requirement on providers changing over the next 3 years? How do you see that developing? Michael, I'll come to you first, if that's okay.
It's a great question, and I feel we can give a standard answer, right? We're going to see a higher consumerization of buying, higher expectations of what the marketplaces provide, the attachments that you can bring in through them, the ease of use, obviously flexibility. We'll come back to that. So I think we're going to see a lot more self-driven, and I think the differentiation obviously is going to become key and become harder as that consumerization takes over. The trick there is, we've seen this crazy change with AI, and all of our predictions are wrong generally because things are happening faster. So some of that is, I think, it's going to be hard to tell because the expectations from the consumer side are going to drive the purchasing side and the enterprises more.
Yeah, I think forecasting, I know it's an incredibly difficult question, crystal ball gazing, 2-3 years out. Taimoor, Microsoft 2-3 years, how the partner programs may be set? How do you see that developing over the next 3 years? How do you see the requirement on your partners changing?
Yeah, I honestly think we have to do a lot more. I am not satisfied with what we do today. And the reason is because it's still very hard for our customers. The enablement journeys aren't there. The customer experience is not amazing.
I mean, that was the whole premise behind OC, wasn't it?
Correct. Like I feel, and I think that we have an opportunity now with more AI, as Michael mentioned, coming in. I feel like we have an opportunity to be more agentic with provisioning, with enablement, with support, with migrations, with just helping customers do this a lot easier, right? Like I said before, telephony is complicated, it's complex. And the more we can do to remove that complexity from the beginning of the journey, from sale or lead to cash or order, whatever you want to call it, all the way down to support and enablement and managed services, and how we can automate that without having to be on phone calls and opening painful tickets and waiting for 3 weeks for things to happen. I think we have to do a lot more on all of our platforms, and this is a challenge for us as vendors to improve our services, and also a challenge for you guys on how we make this together. And we're always open to those ideas, and I'm sure we'll discuss more in the afternoon as well. But yeah, I think we need to do a lot more.
I just want to throw in something real quick because you laid out a really great point, and I'm going to actually go back to Jamie talking about voicemail and how we're building this out so that the voicemail can set up a meeting. That's really probably what the marketplace should look like, and we're not doing enough to quite get there yet. You can see a consumer going to a marketplace and basically chatting with a virtual agent saying, "I want all these services," and then to your point, everything happening in the background and just being presented, in the end, versus having to click through and select and move. And so that user friendliness is not going to be a nice to have. It'll be an expectation.
It's going to be vital. So from the Cisco side, obviously it's developed massively since the Broadsoft acquisition, and that's developed the platform, and since then you've refined the partner program and the licensing. What do you sort of see over the next 3 years? And I appreciate you're not responsible for the entire leadership structure of Cisco, but
a lot of what Taimoor and Michael said is what was going in my head as well. I think it's just so important to evolve these marketplaces from just a simple PSTN procurement to actually, it's not just about connecting the calls, but connecting business outcomes, right? And how do you actually make it really simpler for the end customer journey? I mean, I completely agree. It's not that easy for us, and it's on us. I think we as vendors, together with SPs, we can actually make it super, super easy, because that's what customers are expecting, that consumer-grade simplicity, right? But with enterprise-grade flexibility and reliability, right, that they want from these services. And then with AI, right, moving so fast, I mean, I just can see why wouldn't somebody just say, I am setting up, these 500 retail locations, and this is where the type of services, that I need. These are my requirements. Okay, tell me, how best actually I can go and procure and acquire, and then it just gets set up quickly. Today, it is a massive effort, for everybody to go and get this all done, right? So that sort of is where I see, right,
I completely agree. I think that overarching theme, and speaking to most of the service providers in this room, is that automation, the simplicity piece, and efficiency is absolutely key. For anyone, I really hope you found the panel interesting. For anyone who wants to speak to any of the team from Cisco, from Microsoft, from Zoom, they're all here throughout the day. Please do, go and find them. They're gold sponsor of the event. We couldn't have put it on without them. So massive round of applause for the panelists. Thank you all for coming.